Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to my sketchbook. So here we have a tool. So it's I have a pick on one end and a hammer on the other, which is based on a real world style hammer I'd seen somewhere. Here we have a double dagger, kind of trying to play off that whole fantasy weapon thing. Here we have a one-handed sword, which actually isn't horribly unrealistic. Here we have a kama design. It's a single steel piece of design of a kama, kind of fusing the idea of the Japanese kama and a European sickle, because Japanese kamas and European sickles are the same bloody thing. They're the same tool. They do not deserve to be treated differently in fantasy games. Here we have a large two-handed sword with a really hefty handle. So this is designed as a two-handed weapon. Here we have kind of a funky axe. I took this idea from like a throwing steel and and converted that to an axe, though the handle is weird. It should be going this way. Again, I was still experimenting. Here we have kind of a scorpion tails inspired design, probably more of a staff top weapon that may have a poisoning ability. Here we have a large shield design, so your arm would go this way, and it's designed to probably be worn on horseback, so that's why this cutout here also could be used as a thrusting device on the ground if you were a large, powerful warrior. Here we have a magic throwing device. This was designed specifically... no, shoot, that isn't a throwing device, if I remember correctly. That's a gate. I apologize. That's a gate I designed for an adventure. It was an interdimensional gate. That's what that was. Haha. I screwed up. I didn't know I've drawn something similar to that. It was a throwing weapon, but that's a gate. Here we have a large, heavy Chinese-inspired glaive with rings in the back, designed to make noise to scare away spirits. Here we have a naginata, though it's not very elegant. I love naginatas. They're one of my favorite polearms. And here we have a fantasy version of a glaive or a naginata, and this has a triple layer of bells, again to make noise and to scare off evil spirits. Here we have a heavy chopping sword, kind of inspired by the Padao. Yes, the Padao inspired me. Here we have a magic staff with a unicorn horn, obviously not wielded by someone who's nice. Here we have another polearm, and this is actually designed as a weapon, but also designed very specifically to hook limbs and pull someone down. So grab shields, grab ankles, grab arms, disarm, interfere with your enemy. And here we have a serrated edged knife, which is kind of silly, but you know, fantasy games are full of silly things. Here we have a wooden club that has got teeth into it, so it's vaguely based on real world shark teeth. These couldn't be shark teeth, they're too narrow, but there's the idea right there. It's of a shark tooth club, kind of taken into a fantasy design. Here we have a throwing axe, vaguely elven in design. I kind of like the way I had this belly come in here and this very simple design. I like that, and there's a lanyard hole. And this is the first version of a polearm, which I made later. I made a better version of it because it didn't have any straight line. This is a straight line. This is designed as a battle staff. It's designed to be used two-handed, and it was a fantasy version inspired by the Klingon Batlev. Here we have a throwing axe, which would also be thrust. Kind of an opposite. A lot of times you see axe with bits that go down, and I decided to change that idea up and do it backwards. And here we have a realistic head. I've actually seen this head used, kind of a tomahawk, though not particularly well executed, I admit. So here we have a plug bayonet for a musket. Here we have a series of small throwing steels. These are all designed to be thrown. So these are just sharpened slivers of metal. This has a mildly stabilizing here. This is just a kind of a stinger. This is inspired by Predator 2, more of a kind of a throwing knife here. And this is a version way too narrow, would not function, but it's designed as a slashing device. Here we have another one, kind of a dart-like throwing thing. Here we have a heavy chopping knife with kind of a weird, almost fencing style guard. Here we have a short sword with a serrated edge, again kind of silly, but makes it good for fantasy things. Here's an experiment in making a weapon that's unusual, because I just wanted to try, this might be some cultural design from some strange race. So it's a pick, but it's a pick with an unusual look. Then we have a glaive, kind of an elven thing in here with those lots of those curves. I did love those curves. And here we had a pendant, which was a claw, and that was for a role-playing game. And here we have a staff top, I believe.